my channel The Mental Traveler. I'm Caro Herrera and today I'm going to be reviewing a story called Dragonwyck. I shall be talking about the book, which was written by Anya Seton and published in 1944, and its movie adaptation, which was released in 1946 and stars Vincent Price and Jean Tierney. Before I begin though, let me just say that this will be a spoiler-free video, so you can sit back and enjoy. Okay, so back in 2019, my passion for medieval England, awakened by the books of Sharon K. Penman, may she rest in peace, led me to discover this fantastic historical fiction novel called Catherine, which I totally love and have already reviewed in this channel. Catherine was written by Anya Seton as well, and while I'm sure that I must have looked up all of her other books at that time, back when I first read Catherine, I can't remember if I ever stumbled upon Dragonwyck, and if I did, I don't remember why it didn't appeal to me at the time. But yeah, anyways, over a year later, in November 2020, I was browsing through Tumblr, and I saw that a dear friend of mine who shares a lot of the same interests as me in movies and books and TV series had reblogged a post with black and white photos from this period drama of a couple dancing, and the scene was from a film called Dragonwyck. And there was just some haunting quality to the romantic clips that aroused my curiosity. So I looked up the film, and then when I saw it was based on a book written by no other than Anya Seton, I read some reviews that said it was sort of reminiscent to the stories of Jane Eyre and Rebecca. Since I love those stories, I decided to see the movie first to see if I would like the plot. It's here on YouTube, and I really liked it. So I then went on to read the novel. Set in the early 19th century in New York and its surrounding countrysides, this is the story of Miranda Wells, daughter of honest, hardworking farmers who dreams of finding a great romance one day. Miranda is very beautiful and unsuited for farm life, which is why she's over the moon when a letter arrives to invite her to be the governess of a distant, rich relation. So Miranda goes off to live at Dragonwyck, an impressive Gothic manor ruled by the noble and proud Nicholas van Rym. Miranda is there to teach Nicholas' daughter, Catherine, but finds all her attention concentrated on Nicholas. He is married though, so she doesn't allow herself to dream of him, even if she does sense that all is not well between Nicholas and his lazy wife, who has a passion for eating as much as she can. There are many elements of Gothic literature in Dragonwyck, from the haunting setting to the mysterious rich owner, and there's even an old crazy lady who recounts the misery that will befall all the heirs of Dragonwyck. Still, Miranda can't help but fall in love with the aloof Nicholas, but when things finally seem to be turning out well for her, disaster crashes in on her life in more than one way. I give Dragonwyck a 4 out of 5 stars review because I really enjoyed it. I think it's perfect for anyone who loves Gothic literature or historical fiction. It's funny though because for the first half of the book I was actually having struggles believing that this had been written by the same author of Catherine, because the writing style wasn't as refined and the characters were a bit too cliché for me at times. For example, the heroine being a willful, immature, naive child. Still, Seton did write this a decade before she wrote Catherine. So it was very interesting to actually see her writing process and analyze how she evolved as a writer through these two books. And I have to admit that as the story progressed, things started to become more interesting and complex in the book. And at one point, without spoiling too much, the reader realizes that Miranda is trapped in this very toxic, claustrophobic relationship. So her story turns out to be this very intense psychological thriller journey because she loves a very complicated man who's in parts a narcissist and another parts a psychopath and another times a very smooth lover. So yeah, it was interesting to see how this useful love turns into this very claustrophobic relationship. Very dark, very heavily emotional, and she turns out to be a character I could totally sympathize for, and I ended up being quite invested in her storyline, even when it's got even more complicated by infidelity. As to Nicholas himself, he's a bit harder to pin down. He has elements of Mr. Rochester and even Heathcliff, but he isn't completely a Byronic hero. Still, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that back when the novel was first published, teenage girls fell madly in love with him. I'm happy to say though that nowadays girls are aware of what a toxic relationship is and would hopefully not fall for this sort of man as easily as they did back then. But yeah, some other very interesting things about the book that I would like to point out would be that I always tend to stick to historical fictions set in England or in the colonies of the British Empire, so it was refreshing to read a story set in the USA. I like reading a story where instead of once again making references to Dickens, I was reading about characters who were meeting Edgar Allan Poe, Washington Irving, and Henry Manville. Also, despite the fact that I'm a history lover, I had no idea that back in the first half of the 19th century, there had been a place near the Catskills in New York where rich men lived as English medieval lords, who owned land that farmers worked, similar to the feudal system. So while I was aware of the slavery going on in the South at the same time, I didn't know that the same was happening with some of the Yankees in the North. Finally, I would also like to give the movie a 4 out of 5 stars review because it was a very enjoyable film and quite a good adaptation. I'd never seen Gene Tierney acting before, and I only remembered Vincent Price from his role in Edward Scissorhands, so I really like the fact that I adored your performances, and the sets and costumes were all really lovely. And sure, the film doesn't turn out to be as dark as the book, and they change some things around, even the ending, but overall, if you're a fan of gothic romances, I highly recommend Dragonwyck to you, both the book and the movie. If they ever make a remake of Dragonwyck, I shall of course be watching and reviewing it. But until then, I believe that this is all I have to say about this story. Thank you so much for watching my review of it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you did or if you didn't, as well as what are your own thoughts regarding the story, the author, her other works, anything that's relevant. In the description box below, you can find a link to the movie's IMDb page and a link to the novel's Goodreads page. And well, I'm Cara Herrera, the Mental Traveler, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care and goodbye!